Hey guys, I'm Traci Copeland and this is Good Moves, Well and Good. Today is all about flexibility. So we're gonna do a 15-minute flexibility flow, focusing on range of motion. Also gonna help open up the hamstrings and the hips. Great to do before or after your workout. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So I'm gonna have you stand towards the top of your mat. You can do this barefoot or with shoes on. I'm gonna have you start with your feet together, and you're gonna place your hands on your thighs and you draw your chin to your chest, just looking straight ahead, and then slowly rolling all the way down. And then once you make it as far as you can, you're gonna slowly come all the way back up, but allowing your arms to be nice and heavy. So your head is the last to rise. Let's do that again a couple more times. Slowly rolling down. And this is less about speed, more about control and allowing yourself to get deeper every single time, getting some space. Creating some space in your hamstrings. And then let's come all the way back up. All right, let's do one more, getting a little bit deeper, bringing it all the way down. Once your hands make it to the ground, or if they don't, then just soften your knees. We're gonna take yourself into a downward facing dog. And we're gonna go ahead and shift into modified upward dog. Just keeping my fingers nice and spread. That's also gonna help protect the wrist. And I reach my heels back towards the ground every single time I come back into downward facing dog. Making it nice, fluid motion. Let's hold right here, then one leg at a time. And then you're gonna go ahead and shift into the tabletop position, okay? Keeping the fingers spread once again. And you wanna make sure that the knees are in line with the wrist. My right hand is in line with my right knee, left hand in line with left knee, okay? Now we're gonna do something called a little thoracic opener, okay? So I'm gonna take the left hand to my back of my head, open up towards the ceiling, and then lower down. Taking these little openers here, keeping your core engaged. That's also gonna help protect your spine, especially that lower back. Let's do one more. And go ahead and release the hand down. Let's take it to the opposite side. Try to allow your eyes to follow your elbow every single time. Let's do two more. Opening it up a little bit more each time. All right. Now staying on your hands, I'm just gonna take myself into a plank position, energizing the core and my glutes. Now I'm gonna step my left hand or left foot outside of my hand and then reach it up towards the ceiling, come right back into plank. And if this is a little too intense for you and you're only getting here, you can allow your hand to kind of grab that foot. Just do whatever makes the most sense for your body. Try to allow yourself to get a little bit deeper each time to kind of open up those hip flexors. Doing one more on each side. Now we're gonna shift into that tabletop position, moving into cat-cow, okay? Again, focusing on the spine. We're gonna go nice and slow here. You might recognize cat-cow from some of those yoga flows, but you can do these even without a yoga sequence. I think this is great to do anytime, especially after a long day of sitting, where you're kind of compressing your spine, or even if you've just been on your feet all day. I know my lower back can tighten up on days like that. So I'm giving you some tools that you can use on your own so you can make your body feel great, so you can move better. Let's do one more. On the chin to the chest, and then come right back to a neutral position. Now we're just gonna go ahead and get into child's pose. Bring the arms forward. This is to find some length in the spine. So child's pose, and then I'm taking that reach. So reaching towards one side of the mat. And what you can also do in your yoga pose, I mean, traditionally you want to make sure that the glutes are reaching back towards the heels. But if that's not available to you, you can always put a blanket or even a yoga block between your glutes and your feet. Allow your knees and your hips to relax a little bit. Holding right here. Let's go ahead and take it back into child's pose. And now I'm gonna go ahead and shift into downward facing dog. Now this one's a fun one. Now that my hamstrings and calves are a little bit warmed up, I've created some space. My heels are reaching towards the ground. If anything, you wanna narrow your downward dog just a little bit so it looks like a smaller upside down V. And I'm gonna lift my right hand off of the ground and reach it towards my opposite ankle. And then I'm gonna come back into high plank. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take the opposite side. And I'm kind of looking underneath my arm each time. Now I come back to plank because that's just like a natural, easy place to come to. Kind of like yoga. We're also finding some strength in our core as much as we're working on some flexibility. Let's do a couple more rounds of this. Let's do one more. And you want to make sure you hit that plank every single time. Getting a little bit deeper. Now that's kind of stretching out those calves and the hamstrings. All right, let's go ahead and come back into high plank. Now I'm gonna go ahead and step my right leg forward, and then I'm gonna pivot coming into what I call Skunkasana, or you can call it inner thigh stretch. So I'm making sure that one heel stays down every time I shift from side to side. Now, if you're feeling really strong in your Skunkasana, you can bring your arms off of the ground. That's where you'll find a little bit more strength. But if this is a lot, keep the hands on the ground and just move naturally. So this is gonna stretch out those inner thighs. Really important thing here is making sure that that heel stays connected to the ground. So even if this is as high as you go, that's totally fine. Stay right there, okay? You wanna make sure you have proper form with everything that we're doing. All right, now we're just gonna go ahead and shift into straddle, forward fold. I'm gonna grab hold of opposite elbows and just come into like what I call a straddle, fold, ragdoll, shifting side to side, shaking my head yes, shaking my head no. Finding some space, not just in my hamstrings, but also the lower back. And what I'm gonna do is turn my toes a little bit inward, like so. If you need to widen your stance here, that's totally fine. Just do whatever makes the most sense for your body. Everyone's gonna have a different range of motion, different range of flexibility, and it changes every day. Some days, I notice if I'm running more, I have less flexibility. Whereas if I'm dancing more, I notice that I have a little bit more. So just take note of your body. All right, now that we're in that straddle forward fold, I'm gonna have you go ahead and shift. We're gonna come into Sumo Squat, okay? So again, finding some space in those inner thighs, working the glutes towards the ground. And I'm just gonna reach my hands towards the ground out in front of me, holding right here. You can turn the toes out here. Just allowing your hips to find a little bit of space and just breathe right here. That's all you need to do. But while you're here, I want you to keep one hand down and reach the opposite arm up towards the ceiling. So you're taking a little bit of a twist here. Now, as you're twisting, try not to lean so much to one side. Try to keep your center keeping that arm reaching up towards the ceiling. And let's go ahead and take it to the opposite side. Again, making sure you're not shifting too much to that left side. You're keeping your weight centered on the ground. And then slowly making your way all the way back. I'm gonna go ahead and come into a seated position. Now, to protect my spine, I'm gonna roll down to the ground, rounding out through my spine, nice and slow with ease and control, so I'm not just flopping on the ground. And once you make it all the way to the ground, just hug the knees into your chest, moving a little bit side to side. Just getting that soft tissue between the spine, around your spine. Grabbing the tops of the kneecaps. I'm gonna rock forward and backwards. Again, working towards my neck on that cervical spine, through my thoracic, all the way down to lumbar spine. So make sure you're doing this on a mat, because if you don't do this on a mat, you might be a little bit uncomfortable. Let's do a couple more like this. Kind of creating a little bit of momentum. And then just go ahead and release. All right, finding some space on the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and hug the knees into the chest. Once again, rock a bit from side to side. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take my hands to the outsides of my feet. So we've done sumo squats in this little flexibility flow. So think of this as an upside down sumo squat. We call this happy baby in yoga. It's just kind of creating some space in the hips. So if I were to flip myself upside down, it'll look like a sumo squat, what we did earlier. Keeping the feet flexed, the toes flexing towards the ground. And you wanna try and keep every part of your spine connected to the ground. So I feel my low back, I feel my thoracic spine. So you might need to tuck your chin a little bit into your chest and then just start to rock a little bit side to side. There's a reason they call this happy baby. You think of baby, they're just kind of having fun with it. They're bending one leg at a time, they're straightening the other. So just find what's gonna allow you to kind of open up and create a little bit more space here so it feels okay on your body, right? All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and hug the knees. Hug the knees into your chest. Plant your feet on the ground. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bring the soles of my feet together. I'm coming into sort of this reclining pigeon. So this should feel pretty good on your body. What I like to do is bring one hand to my heart, one hand to my belly, and I close my eyes here. This is your way to recenter yourself, your mind. Now, you also want to make sure that each part of your back is connected to the ground, so you're not arching in your lower back. You're connected in your ground, you're sticking that tailbone under. And once you find that nice neutral alignment, just allow your hips to just naturally release. And sometimes what you can do is just place a block or a pillow underneath your knees if it's a little uncomfortable, or if you have tight hips. But if you have the space, then just try to simplify. A couple more easy breaths here, just letting go of any lingering tension or tightness that you're holding on to, and just try to let it go. Open your eyes, draw both knees back into your chest. Rock a little bit side to side and roll up. All right, come into a seated position. And that was your flexibility flow, hopefully creating a little bit more range of motion. Hope you're finding some space throughout your body, feeling a little bit more relaxed. My name is Traci Copeland. This was Good Moves with Well+Good. You want more good moves? Subscribe to Well+Good today.